Hey guys, welcome back to Super Import Reviews. My name's Steve, and today I'll be going over the Transformers Generation Legend Class Skrapnel and Reflector. Alright, I'll try to stop. Skrapnel is a part of the original Insecticon lineup from the G1 television show with Hardshell and Kickback. And actually, for the course of this review, I'm just going to call him Shrapnel, because that's just the way I know it. And personally, of the Insecticons, he's my favorite, with him being kind of the pseudo-leader of the Insecticons. And also for his little nervous tick where he has to repeat the last word of all of his sentences. So, I just always thought he was a neat little character. And it also comes with Reflector, which isn't technically all three of them, because how I remember is all three of them would combine into the camera that he transforms, but it's pretty neat to have him in here nonetheless. And decided to pick up this pack anyways, just because I thought it would look really good with my Masterpiece Soundwave, with him having the energy cubes and maybe he could be munching on them. I just thought it'd be really neat. So for the packaging, really love the image of Shrapnel on the front of this. Looks really nice and overall pretty good display package. On the bottom just tells you the difficulty for his transformation, which is a 1, which I don't imagine what a 0 is. Probably one of the ones that don't transform, but it's about as simplistic as it can get, I guess. On the side here, just tells you what series he is, with Series 2, and he's number 7. On the back of the packaging, just tells you the robot form for each of them and also their alt modes, which is really cool. And right here, if you guys want to read the bio real quick, I'll let you. And for the bottom, just gives you their technical stats, which all seem pretty appropriate to me. And there's not really too much else going on with this here. It's a pretty simplistic box overall. Let's get him open up out of his plastic prison. Alright, so now that they're open up out of their plastic prison, first we're going to go over Reflector, which looks pretty good for how tiny of a guy he is. Really like the little head sculpt there, and he's got some painted green here on his chest and on his visor. You can see the optics on his tummy, which looks pretty cool. And overall, not a whole lot going on here, like especially on the back, you can kind of see all the camera bits right there. But it's not too bad. His only real articulation in this form is his arms can move up and down. Alright, then if you want to put him in the camera mode, done. You literally just lay him flat down and bam, got him in the camera form. Which looks kind of like a camera. It's a nice attempt, nonetheless. Really do like the front of it, though. It has a really nice lens look to it. So overall, it's not too bad, especially for how tiny this thing is. Like, it's whatever to me for the most part. And then, if you want to put him into weapon form, you just kind of flip this part forward. He launches forward because he's on a spring. And then just push that down. Plop it into his hands, bam! Got a reflector gun, which looks kind of silly. It's just a little dude, like you're about to shoot him off like a rocket. Just so overall, the weapon's kind of a fail to me. But at least you can have him kind of like that, so you can be running around taking pictures of everybody. So I guess that's an option. And next we'll go over Shrapnel, which overall, in terms of detail, turned out really nice. Really love the head sculpt on here, and as you can see, he's got some silver paint on his face, which looks really good and helps to stand out some of the details on him. Even on his little eyes are also painted silver. Same with the front here, is painted yellow with the Decepticon logo on the front. Which also has a little bit of a metallic flake to it, which is really cool. Overall, really love his front profile overall. Very reminiscent of the G1 TV show. His arms look really nice too. One thing that might have been nice though is maybe having these legs be a little bit opposable, because they don't really, they're just fixated on the arms here. But for how tiny he is, it's a little bit to be expected with this. It's going to be skimped out a little bit on stuff. For his legs, turned out really nice. You can see here on the vents here, they have some yellow paint on them, which looks really good. Not sure why an insect needs vents, but yeah, it's there nonetheless. Then for the back of them, just a little bit open, but on these smaller figures, it's kind of be expected a little bit. But it still looks pretty clean overall. His legs kind of just tucking to the back. Overall, not too much else to go over in this form. Just has a very nice profile to him. Is really what I would expect a Shrapnel to look like. Then for his articulation, his arms are on a ball joint, so they can move back, forth, up and down. Elbows are also at a ball joint, so I have a nice bend to it, and the rotation. Nothing at the hands, nothing at the waist. Head can rotate, even though it's a bit of a pain. Legs are also on little ball joints, so they can move out about that far. can do the splits. Move forward about that far. Not too far back because the leg's getting in the way. There we go. Has a bend at the knee. And also a rotation. Also has a rotation at the knee. It's just a bit of a pain without getting the legs to dislocate, as it just did again. Then, as a bend at the foot. And that's pretty much it for his articulation. And overall, for how small he is, he definitely actually has a lot of posability factor, so that's a really nice plus for him. Let's get him into alt mode and see how that turned out. And for some quick comparison, here's Shrapnel compared to some other Legend class Transformers of Optimus Prime and Starscream. And here's compared next to the Generations Fall Cybertron Deluxe class Kickback. And just to show the size of him a little better, here he is with the Generations Leader class Jetfire and the Masterpiece Frenzy. And here he is compared next to his G1 counterpart. And here's Shrapnel in insect form, or I guess what you would call this, a Hercules beetle. Which overall, looks pretty good to me. It's got a few issues with, it has a lot of gapping here for the headpiece here where the mouth is. And I wish the arm stayed in here a little better, because this side's not too bad. But this arm doesn't really hook in at all, because you can see right here, there's a peg there, and you insert it right there. But on mine, when you start squishing it in there, it just kind of pops right back out. So that's a little bit of a bummer. But other than that, he actually looks really good. Well, actually, I got one more complaint, is that my pincers aren't very lined up very well. So he kind of drags down a little bit, which bugs me a little bit. I need to find new jokes. But alright. But for the details, other than that, it looks really good, especially with the yellow from the robot form. Comes across very nice here on insect form. It gives them a lot of color variation up here, which looks really nice. And you can see here, he's got little bug eyes, which we're facing forward in the transformation, so that's kind of cool. When it comes down, it kind of helps to form his eyes, because initially when I'm looking at it, these are definitely a lot more predominant, which are just the little metal pegs to hold them in. But that's kind of a pretty neat touch there. Overall, really like the profile of it. Definitely is very reminiscent of a beetle to me. And especially with him being a Legends class figure, he has a lot of very nice details in robot form, which also translate very well into this one. And usually you kind of lose a little bit between one or the other, because there's just not a whole lot of engineering you could do with these smaller figures. But he actually surprised me very well with how he turned out. And as an added bonus, if you want, right up here there is a little spot where you can insert the camera. So you just kind of stick it in there. And then you can have Spy Mode Shrapnel with goofy little dude sitting on top. Or better yet, you can have the human robot launcher. And for some quick comparison, here he is with the Legends class Optimus Prime and Starscream, which he is a monster in comparison. Here is with the Generations Fall of Cybertron Kickback. And here he is compared next to the Generations Leader class Jetfire and Masterpiece Frenzy. And here he is with this G1 counterpart, which I actually really love the scale for these guys on this one. Because overall, he's just about as long. The original generation is a little bit longer. But overall, it's still a pretty nice scale between the two. So overall, even with the gap in his mouth and with some of the parts not lining up quite as well in insect form as I would really like it to, I still think he turned out very nice. Really love the color variation and the paint application he has going on. Really helps him to stand on your shelf. And with him being a Legend class figure, I think both forms actually turned out very nice looking, which is something that's a little bit odd with those classes, because usually there's a little bit of give and take between robot form and vehicle form, and one will usually look slightly better than the other. But both his actually really do stand out pretty well to me. And with him in Reflector, coming in at around $10, I personally think it's worth it, especially if you're into the G1 television show and are not as afraid of insects as Arnez. Really think this guy should be in your collection. So what do you guys think? You guys like Shrapnel? You guys like the Insecticons? Or you think automobiles are just preferred transformation? Please let us know in the comments. We'll have closer pictures on Facebook. If you want to click the link in the description below. Please don't be afraid to share this video around. And if you like this and want to see more stuff like this, please give us a like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. I feel like when I'm showing you guys the bio, I should just be doing this like Star Wars, where it's like dee 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 dee. I'm stupid.